Hey guys, this is Bharadwaj with Fonearena.com, and this is the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact that we recently unboxed. So this phone is very much a Z1 in a smaller form. So it has the really popular 20.7 megapixel camera right on the back. It is a G-lens camera with a 1x2.3 inch sensor, which is the biggest in the Android world. So the camera is pretty special, just like the Z1, and we are going to see how it performs and how the user interface is like in the camera review of the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact by Fonearena. So let's straight away start with the differentiation factors of the Z1 Compact. The first thing that you notice in the hardware is that it has a dedicated camera key, which is a two-stage shutter button, which is very rare in other Android phones, and Sony started incorporating this with the Z1 and now the Z1 Compact, and most Sony phones now have this, which is a really good thing, because camera is perfectly used when using these two-stage shutter button. It's used for locking focus and taking it away for creative shots. So all the stuff you can do on the Sony Z1 Compact thanks to the shutter button, which is very helpful to use the phone as a camera. And one more thing is that Sony with Android 4.2 has introduced this new widgets, so lock screen widgets, in accordance with the other Android variants like stock Android. So you have the lock screen widget, which will directly take you to this camera interface, which is exactly the same as the Sony Xperia Z1. So let's go through the camera interface first. Right at the top, you can see that the pin is denoting the location. Now there is the thumbnail for going to the gallery. You have the two buttons for instantly taking photos or videos according to the functions, and then you have the mode dial, which will show you different modes. And then you can also add apps to this through directly from the Play Store if you want. These are like the Windows Phone camera lenses. You will be taken directly to the viewfinder of that app. So this is the flash, or rather this is the mode indicator, which now indicates that it is a fast motion shot. So this is superior auto mode, that's why it's sensing already the kind of shot that it wants to take. So on a half press, it will decide what shot to take, and then it will immediately take it. So that's the superior auto mode that we have seen. Over at the left, we have the mode options setting. The mode options will be changed with according to the type of the mode selected. And there is also the front facing camera option. The front facing camera is a 2.2 megapixel front facing camera capable of taking 720p video. It is pretty good, and the clarity is also really good. So it can be used for selfies too, because it's pretty good. Now this is the flash toggles. We have a torch, full flash, red eye reduction, apart from the auto and off. Now that's the overall UI walkthrough. Now the interesting thing is the modes. So while in superior auto, the phone can take 8 megapixel shots. This is due to the oversampling. Actually, this phone is capable of taking 20 megapixel shots too, but it takes 8 megapixel shots in 16:9 in oversampling. So Nokia introduced this with the Pure View Phase 2, that is Phase 1 rather, it's 808. So 808 could take 5 MP shots from 40 megapixels, while this can take 8 MP shots from 20.7 megapixels. So that's one unique thing in the Xperia Z1 as well as the Z1 Compact, and both are the same cameras, so we definitely expect similar performance. Now onto the mode dials again. We can see that there are different modes, total 8 modes here. Superior auto, manual, info eye. So manual is everything in manual. I'll show you all the settings with regards to manual. Info eye is augmented reality. It will open up and it will show you the places around you. And social live is actually a live streaming app for Facebook. It's by Bamboozer, and you can broadcast live from your phone to Facebook, which some might find it really handy. And there is also Timeshift Burst, so it takes a burst of images and takes after the shot you can select which you want. Sweep panorama, picture effect, and AR effect. AR effect is something really fun. We have used it with the Z1 and showed you the different AR effects. For example, you will be seeing a couple of things pop up here. It's very hard to make it pop in these conditions, but anyway, we'll see a couple of things popping up here, and that's the mode. So let's go back to Superior Auto. So that's one thing about the camera interface. If you press back, it should actually go to the menu, but it instead quits, which is very weird. Let's go into the manual settings. Now you can see that it has turned into 4:3 ratio with 20 megapixel settings. So this is the full resolution photos that you can take in the manual mode. You have a lot of options here. Resolution, you can select to 16:9 too. You have 8 MP, 20.7 MP, and all the things. So the difference here is that the 8 MP mode in this is not oversampling. So only if you select Superior Auto, you'll get oversampling, and not in the manual mode, which is kind of weird, but understandable. You also have image stabilizer, which will let you take stable photos. It has some sort of stabilization using software, which is pretty good. Focus modes can be different, and of course other things like ISO and metering can be changed. And coming over to the settings, you can see that you can have touch capture, auto upload, and quick launch, and shutter sounds, and more. So these are all pretty standard. Now switching to the video mode, it's still in manual. Now here you can see that the settings are different. The video resolution is 1080p, of course. At 30 fps it will record, and you can have HDR video. We'll show you samples of that. Steady shot is enabled, which means image stabilization. It is software based stabilization, but it works really well. Again, you can see that in the video, and other settings are pretty much standard. So you can have torch, and you can also have settings for white balance and set the scene. So this is the video settings in the manual mode, and of course you can have different settings and take photos as much as you want in 20.7 megapixels or in 8 megapixels. Now coming to the exact camera performance part, this is where things get interesting. So in Superior Auto mode, in daylight, images are practically better than the 20.7 megapixel mode. But if you want more resolution, 20.7 megapixel manual mode is the thing you should use. So we took several number of samples in daylight. So let's see those. All of these are in 20.7 megapixels, and we think that this phone takes one of the best shots in daylight. Anyway, take a look at these daylight camera samples that we took. So as you saw, the daylight samples are pretty good. These are all 20.7 megapixel shots, but you can also take 8 megapixel shots in the Superior Auto mode. So these are oversampled shots. How better are they? Let's see with the comparison. So here are the comparison samples. Over at the left, you have the 20.7 megapixel shot, and over at the right, you have the oversampled 8 megapixel shot. In daylight, we think there is a clear advantage for oversampled shots. It is much better. It has more details. It is more crisp and more usable. But in low light, as you are seeing right now, this low light shot, you can see that the 20.7 megapixel shot exhibits a lot of clear details even with noise. But the 8 megapixel shot is kind of very fuzzy and over processed. So the algorithm is a bit difficult to manage in low light, but in daylight we think we would definitely prefer taking 8 megapixel shots when there is bright sun and there is ample amount of light. But in low light, switch to 20.7 megapixels and then probably downsize in your phone or even in your PC and then share it. So that's one difference we found with the oversampling of photos in the Superior Auto mode. Again, as we said earlier, in the manual mode, if you choose 8 megapixel, it will not oversample. It will just produce an 8 megapixel shot that is not oversampling. Now moving on to other kinds of shots, we also took several macro shots which the Z1 Compact really excelled in. The bokeh was brilliant because of the pretty large sensor. It's a 1x2.3 inch, which is the largest in the Android segment. It is the same size as the Galaxy S4 zoom and the Galaxy camera sensor. So that's pretty good. And then it's also 20.7 megapixels. So take a look at some of the macro shots. We think they are good. Take a look. So as you saw from these samples, the macro performance is pretty great on the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact, and the focusing was also really good. We also always use the half stage shutter button. Just move it to move the object that you want to focus to the center of the frame. Click the half stage shutter button and you're all set. The focus will happen and you can take the photo. Now going to low light. Low light is a bit of a big problem here with this Z1 Compact because it does not have image stabilization through optical variety. So there is no optical image stabilization, but it does have the normal stabilizer, but that doesn't help. In the superior auto mode, you can take low light shots. If you switch the lights off, you can see that it will automatically switch to the low light mode. That's the superior auto example, I guess. It's an advantage as far as we are concerned. So the superior auto mode will take good shots in low light, but the manual mode in 20.7 megapixels, it really struggles to take decent photos. So here are some samples that we took with and without superior auto modes and other shots in low light. Take a look. So overall, in terms of low light, we would say the Z1 is okay. It's not the best. The LG G2 performs very similarly and the Z1 Compact 2 performs really similarly. It is full of smudges and lack of details. That's certainly a given. But the 20.7 megapixel shots in slow sufficient amount of light, I mean, even if there is minimal light, the 20.7 megapixel performance is slightly better than the 8 megapixel oversampled one. The algorithms for oversampling that Sony has used is not perfect, so I think they should work on it and make the photos, especially in oversampling, better, because it's proven to be better, the oversampling technology. So it should make the photos better in low light. Moving on to video, the phone can record 1080p video at 30 fps. This is powered by Snapdragon 400, so it can technically take 4K videos, but Sony hasn't enabled that in its phones. We expect to see that in Sony's future phones because Sony is in a big push for 4K. But this phone records 1080p at 30 fps but has the HDR video options. So anyway, you can take a look at both the samples, the normal one first and the HDR one next, and see if you like it. So there you go, those were the video samples. We noticed that the video was pretty good in the normal mode. The HDR video was a little bit less in details. It was a little bit over sharpened and had a couple of over processing here and there. But the image quality was vibrant and better in the HDR mode, we feel. But in the normal mode, the overall performance was pretty decent and we think the video is great, especially with steady shot. The software stabilization works really well and the overall panning and movement is really good on the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact. So overall the performance is exactly the same as the Xperia Z1. That is definitely true. But overall, in terms of Android devices, the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact might be your best bet at a really good camera. So if you want to compare it to other devices, the G2 and the S4 are probably really close, but the Sony Xperia Z1 is pretty special and it has improved with software updates in the past, the Z1. So Z1 Compact 2, there is a lot of promise here from Sony. It uses its own sensor, it has its own oversampling algorithm. So if it gets better, this is probably the best camera that you can get in the Android space. So that's about it for the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact camera review. Do hit the like button if you like this video. Do let us know what you think in the comment section below if you like the samples. If you want the full resolution samples, we'll put it up in a post. You can have them from the link below. So that's about it for the video. Thanks for watching again. Do hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like these.